Logan Reese ran his calloused fingers along the edge of the mahogany table, checking for imperfections. The grain was perfect, each line flowing like water frozen in time. His workshop smelled of sawdust and wood stain, familiar scents that kept him grounded when everything else felt unstable. The front door of his house slammed shut across the yard. Logan glanced through the workshop window and watched Nadine hurry to her car, phone pressed against her ear. Again. No, I can't talk now, she was saying as she fumbled with her keys. He's right here. Logan stepped back from the window. He's right here, like he was some kind of threat she needed to avoid. 5 years ago, when John was born, she used to bring him lunch in the workshop. They'd sit together on the old wooden bench, talking about their plans, their future. Now she barely looked at him during dinner. His phone buzzed. A text from Nadine. Late class tonight. Don't wait up. Logan stared at the message. Her yoga studio closed at 8. It was already past 9 that he walked back to his workbench and picked up his chisel. The wood wouldn't lie to him. Wood was honest. You could see its flaws, work with them, make something beautiful despite its imperfections. People were different. People could smile while planning your destruction. The sound of John's laughter drifted from the house. Logan set down his tools and headed inside. His 5-year-old son was sprawled on the living room carpet, building something elaborate with his blocks. Dad, look. John held up a wooden tower. It's as tall as me. Logan knelt beside him. That's some fine construction work, buddy. Did you use the crossbeam technique I showed you? Yep. See, John pointed to the interlocking pieces. It's super strong now, just like we are. Logan ruffled his son's dark hair. Super strong. John's face scrunched in concentration. Dad, why does Mom cry in her car? The question hit Logan like a hammer to the chest. What do you mean? Yesterday, I saw her through my window. She was sitting in her car, talking on the phone, and crying. Is she sad? Logan forced his voice to stay steady. Sometimes grown-ups get sad about things. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you, okay? Okay. John returned to his blocks, but Logan could see the worry in his small features. The T-1030, Nadine's headlights swept across the living room walls. Logan heard her car door close, then her footsteps on the porch. He was sitting in his chair, reading a woodworking magazine, when she walked in. How was class? He asked without looking up. Fine. She dropped her bag by the door. Long session tonight. We worked on meditation techniques. Logan glanced at her outfit. Black dress, heels, makeup still perfect. Not exactly yoga attire. Must have been some meditation. He turned a page. John's asleep. Good. She paused at the bottom of the stairs. I'm exhausted. Going to bed. Nadine. She stopped, but didn't turn around. We need to talk. Soon. About what? Logan set down his magazine and looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman he'd married had laugh lines around her green eyes. This woman's eyes were guarded, calculating. You know what? For a moment, something flickered across her face. Fear? Guilt? Then her mask slipped back into place. I don't know what you're talking about, Logan. I'm tired. We'll talk tomorrow. She climbed the stairs, each step deliberate and careful. Logan listened to her move around their bedroom. Water running in the bathroom, drawers opening and closing. Normal sounds that felt anything but normal. He walked to the window and looked out his workshop. The security light cast everything in harsh white. Beyond the fence, Savannah's old oak trees stood like sentries, their Spanish moss swaying in the night breeze. Logan had survived 2 tours in Afghanistan. He learned to recognize danger before it announced itself. The crawling sensation between his shoulder blades, the hyper-awareness that kept soldiers alive in hostile territory. That feeling had been growing stronger every day for the past month. His wife was planning something. He just didn't know what yet. 3 days later, Nadine was making coffee when she dropped the bomb. We're going to a party this Saturday. Logan looked up from his eggs. Whose party? Rochelle Dale. It's her birthday. Nadine's voice was too bright, too casual. She's been asking me to bring you around for ages. Never heard you mention a Rochelle before. I have. You probably weren't listening. She handed him a mug, and her smile felt as artificial as plastic flowers. It'll be fun. We never go out anymore. Logan studied her face. She was nervous about something. Her left hand was fidgeting with her wedding ring, spinning it around and around. Where does she live? Out on Whitfield Avenue. Nice place. Come on, Logan. For me. The please in her voice sounded wrong. Nadine didn't beg. She demanded, manipulated, or withdrew into cold silence. But she didn't beg. What time? 7. I already told her we'd be there. Of course she had. Saturday arrived gray and humid, typical for Savannah in late spring. Logan showered and put on his best jeans and a button-down shirt. When he came downstairs, Nadine was applying lipstick in the hallway mirror. She wore a red dress that hugged her curves and heels that made her legs look endless. Dressed up for Rochelle, Logan asked, I want to look nice. Is that a crime? They drove in silence through the historic district, past the ornate squares and antebellum mansions that made Savannah famous. Whitfield Avenue was in the suburbs, where newer money built bigger houses with smaller character. Rochelle Dale's house blazed with lights. Cars packed the driveway and lined the street. Music and laughter spilled from the open windows. Popular woman, Logan said. She knows everyone. Nadine, check her lipstick one more time. Be nice, okay? Don't be all brooding and antisocial. I'm not antisocial. You're not exactly Mr. Personality either. They walked to the front door together, but Logan felt like they were miles apart. Nadine rang the bell, and a woman in her 40s answered. Bleached blonde hair, too much jewelry, smile like a game show host. Nadine, you look gorgeous. Rochelle air-kissed both of Nadine's cheeks. And you must be Logan. I've heard so much about you. Logan shook her hand. All good, I hope. Of course. Her laugh was too loud. Come in, come in. The party's in full swing. The house was crowded with people Logan didn't recognize. Savannah's social circles were small and interconnected, but these faces were foreign to him. He followed Nadine through the living room, accepting a beer from a passing waiter. That's when he saw him. The man was leaning against the kitchen counter, gesturing with an expensive glass of whiskey. Mid-30s, perfectly styled hair, shirt that probably cost more than Logan made in a week. Everything about him screamed arrogance, from his practiced smile to the way he dominated the conversation around him. Nadine walked straight to him. Aaron. She touched his arm, and the gesture was too familiar, too intimate. I want you to meet my husband. Logan, this is Aaron Lorne. Aaron extended his hand with a smirk that made Logan want to break his jaw. The famous woodworker. Nadine tells me you're quite the craftsman. I do my best. Logan shook his hand, noting the soft palm, the manicured nails. This man had never done a day of real work in his life. Aaron's in real estate, Nadine said. He's showing me some investment properties. Investment properties? Logan looked at his wife. Since when are we investing in real estate? Since we need to think about our future. Her voice had an edge now. Some of us plan ahead. Aaron chuckled. She's got a good head for business. You're lucky, Logan. Yeah, lucky. For the next hour, Logan watched his wife orbit around Aaron Lorne like a planet around the sun. She laughed at his jokes, touched his arm when she spoke, leaned in close when he whispered in her ear. Everyone else seemed to fade into background noise. Logan was getting another beer when someone tapped his shoulder. You're Logan Reese. Logan turned to find a man about his age, stocky build, graying beard. Unlike most of the party guests, this man looked like he worked for a living. That's right. Everett Chase. I'm Rochelle's cousin. He glanced around the room, then moved closer. We need to talk. Outside. Something in the man's tone made Logan's military instincts kick in. He followed Everett through the sliding doors onto the back patio. The yard was empty, lit by string lights that cast dancing shadows on the grass. Everett lit a cigarette and took a long drag. How well do you know these people? I don't. First time meeting any of them. Good. That makes this easier. Everett's eyes were serious, almost sympathetic. You need to leave. Tonight. Right now. Why? Because you weren't supposed to leave here alive. The words hit Logan like a physical blow. His hand instinctively moved to his hip, where he used to carry his sidearm in the army. But he was unarmed, in civilian clothes, at a suburban party. What are you talking about? Everett took another drag. My cousin Rochelle's got a big mouth when she's been drinking. She told me about your wife's plan, about how they're going to make it look like an accident. Logan's vision narrowed. The party sound behind him seemed to fade away. Your wife and her boyfriend, Aaron Lorne, they've been planning this for months. The ground felt unsteady beneath Logan's feet. You're lying. I wish I was. Everett flicked his cigarette into the grass. Look, I don't know you, but I got kids of my own. I can't stand by and watch this happen. Watch what happened. They're going to drug you. Tonight. Make it look like a heart attack or maybe suicide. Your wife's already been telling people you've been acting strange, depressed. Building the story. Logan's hands clenched into fists. Why would you tell me this? Because it's wrong. And because that little boy of yours doesn't deserve to lose his father to these sick people. John. Logan's blood turned to ice. Where is he? At home with a babysitter, I assume. But after tonight, Aaron Lorne was going to become his new daddy. Logan turned toward the sliding doors. Through the glass, he could see Nadine laughing at something Aaron was saying. Her hand was on his chest now, fingers spread over his heart. How do you know all this? Rochelle's been bragging about it. She thinks it's romantic, like some movie. Star-crossed lovers removing the obstacle to their happiness. Everett's voice was disgusted. She has no idea what kind of monster she's helping. Logan's mind was racing, calculating. If Everett was telling the truth, then he was in immediate danger. But if he was lying, if this was some kind of setup, why should I trust you? Everett reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He swiped to a text conversation and showed Logan the screen. Rochelle, it's happening tonight. And is finally going through with it. Everett, going through with what? Rochelle, getting rid of Logan. He is so excited he can barely contain himself. Everett, what do you mean getting rid of him? Rochelle, permanently. They've got it all planned out. Logan stared at the messages, his stomach churning. The timestamps showed they were from earlier that evening. I tried to talk her out of it, Everett said. But she's too deep in their crazy to listen. Best I can do is warn you. Logan handed the phone back. I need to get John. Good. Get him and get gone. Tonight. Don't pack. Don't call anyone, just disappear. And then what? That's up to you. But if you stay, you're a dead man. Logan looked back through the sliding doors one more time. Nadine was holding Aaron's hand now, leading him toward the front of the house, probably wondering where her husband had gone. Thank you, Logan said. Everett nodded. Take care of that boy. Logan walked back into the house, his senses hyper-alert. Every face looked potentially hostile, every smile potentially fake. He found Nadine by the front door, looking around with worried eyes. There you are, she said. I was looking for you. Where did you go? Getting some air. You ready to leave? Leave? We just got here. I'm tired, and I want to check on John. Nadine's eyes flicked to Aaron, who was watching from across the room. Can't we stay a little longer? I'm having fun. No. Logan's voice was flat, final. We're leaving. Now. Something shifted in Nadine's expression. The mask slipped for just a moment, and Logan saw cold calculation underneath. Fine. Let me get my purse. She retrieved her bag from the kitchen while Logan waited by the door. Aaron approached him, that same arrogant smirk on his face. Leaving so soon? The night's just getting started. Early day tomorrow. Ah, the working man's burden. Aaron's eyes glittered with amusement. Well, I'm sure I'll see you around, Logan. Real soon. The threat was barely veiled. Logan stepped closer, close enough that Aaron had to tilt his head back to maintain eye contact. I doubt that. Aaron's smirk faltered slightly. Good. Nadine returned with her purse, and they said their goodbyes to Rochelle. Logan shook hands and accepted air kisses, all while his mind raced ahead to what came next. Get John. Get gone. Figure out the rest later. They drove home in tense silence. Logan's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles went white. Beside him, Nadine stared out the passenger window, her phone buzzing with text messages she didn't answer. The babysitter's car was still in the driveway when they pulled up. Logan felt a surge of relief. John was safe. For now, he paid the teenage girl and watched her drive away, then went upstairs to check on his son. John was sleeping peacefully, his dark hair spread across the pillow, one arm wrapped around his stuffed dinosaur. Logan stood in the doorway for a long moment, memorizing the scene. After tonight, everything would change. Downstairs, Nadine was in the kitchen, supposedly making tea. But Logan could hear her whispering into her phone. No, he didn't suspect anything. I don't know, he just wanted to leave. Yes, I'm sure. Tomorrow night, then. Logan crept closer to the kitchen doorway, his military training keeping his footsteps silent. Just make sure you have everything ready, Nadine was saying. I can't go through with this again if something goes wrong. Logan's blood turned to ice. Everett had been telling the truth. He backed away from the kitchen and climbed the stairs to John's room. His son was still sleeping, unaware that his mother was planning his father's murder. Logan gently shook John's shoulder. Hey, buddy, wake up. John's eyes fluttered open. Dad? What's wrong? We're going on an adventure. Right now. But we have to be very quiet, okay? John sat up, instantly alert. What kind of adventure? The camping kind. Remember how I told you about sleeping under the stars? Really? Tonight? Really? But it's a surprise for Mom, so we can't tell her. Can you help me pack your backpack with some clothes? John nodded eagerly and scrambled out of bed. Logan helped him stuff pajamas, clothes, and his favorite toys into a small backpack. His hands were shaking, but John didn't notice. They crept downstairs, avoiding the steps that creaked. Logan could still hear Nadine talking in the kitchen, her voice low and urgent. He grabbed his truck keys from the hook by the door and ushered John outside. This is the best surprise ever, John whispered as Logan buckled him into his car seat. Yeah, buddy, it really is. Logan closed the rear door and walked around to the driver's side. His truck was parked in the driveway, facing the street. All he had to do was start the engine and drive away. Simple that he put the key in the ignition just as the front door burst open. Logan. Nadine's voice was shrill with panic. What are you doing? Logan started the truck. The engine roared to life, and the headlights illuminated the street ahead. Logan stopped. Nadine was running toward the truck now, her heels clicking on the asphalt. Where are you going with John? Logan shifted into reverse, but Nadine reached the driver's side door and grabbed the handle. Don't do this, she said, and for a moment her voice sounded like the woman he'd married. Please, we can work this out. Logan looked at her through the window. Even in the harsh glare of the porch light, she was beautiful. But beauty was just another mask, another deception. I know, he said. Her face went pale. Know what? Everything. Logan put the truck in drive and pressed the accelerator. Nadine stumbled backward, releasing the door handle. Dad! John's voice was high with excitement from the back seat. Look behind you. Logan glanced in the rearview mirror and felt his heart stop. Nadine was running after the truck, but she wasn't empty-handed. In her right hand, she held a syringe, the needle glinting in the streetlight. Dad, what's Mom doing? John asked. Logan punched the gas pedal to the floor. The truck shot forward, tires squealing on the asphalt. In the mirror, he watched Nadine stop running and stand in the middle of the street, the syringe still in her hand. His wife, the mother of his child, had just tried to drug him with God knew what. Dad, you're driving really fast, John said. Logan forced himself to ease off the gas. They were several blocks away now, safe for the moment. But his hands were trembling on the steering wheel, and his heart was pounding like a war drum. Sorry, buddy. Got a little excited about our camping trip. Where are we going? Good question. Logan pulled out his phone and scrolled to a number he hadn't called in months. Zeke Monroe. His old Army buddy lived about an hour outside the city on 20 acres of woods and isolation. If anyone could help them disappear, it was Zeke. The phone rang twice before a gravelly voice answered. Zeke, it's Logan. I need help. A pause. How much trouble? The kind that kills you. Address. Logan rattled off their location. Stay put. I'll be there in 40 minutes. The line went dead. Logan pulled into a 24-hour gas station and parked under the bright lights. John had fallen back asleep in his car's seat, exhausted by the excitement. Logan watched the mirrors, looking for any sign of pursuit. His phone buzzed with a text from Nadine. Where are you? Please come home. We need to talk. Then another. Logan, please. You're scaring me. And another. If you don't bring John back, I'm calling the police. Logan turned off his phone. Let her call the police. Let her explain why she was chasing her husband with a syringe in the middle of the night. 38 minutes later, a battered pickup truck pulled into the gas station. Zeke Monroe climbed out, and Logan felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Zeke looked exactly the same as he had in Afghanistan. Gray beard, weathered face, eyes that missed nothing. Jesus, Logan. You look like hell. Feel worse. Logan shook his old friend's hand. Thanks for coming. What's the situation? Logan gave him the abbreviated version. Nadine's affair, the murder plot, the syringe. Zeke listened without interruption, his expression growing darker with each detail. Your wife. Zeke shook his head. Damn, brother. That's cold. I need somewhere safe to take John while I figure this out. My place is off-grid. No cell towers, no internet, no neighbors for miles. You can stay as long as you need. Zeke, if they come looking, let them come. Zeke's smile was wolfish. I've been bored lately. They drove in convoy through the dark Georgia countryside, away from Savannah's lights and into the deep woods. Logan's phone, turned back on, buzzed constantly with calls and texts from Nadine. He ignored them all. At 2 a.m., they turned down a dirt road that disappeared into a wall of pine trees. Zeke's cabin sat in a clearing, surrounded by darkness so complete it felt solid. No streetlights, no traffic sounds, no signs of civilization. Welcome to paradise, Zeke said as they parked. Logan carried John into the cabin and laid him on the couch, covering him with a blanket. His son didn't wake up. Kids were resilient that way. Zeke poured 2 glasses of bourbon and handed one to Logan. So what's the plan? Logan stared into the amber liquid. I don't know yet. First priority is keeping John safe. That's handled. But you can't hide forever. I know. And you can't let them get away with this. Logan looked up. Zeke's eyes were hard as flint. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that sometimes the law isn't enough. Sometimes you have to handle things yourself. Logan thought about Nadine running after his truck with that syringe, about Aaron Lorne's arrogant smirk, about his 5-year-old son sleeping peacefully on the couch, unaware that his mother had tried to make him an orphan. Yeah, Logan said. Sometimes you do. Logan woke before dawn, his body programmed by years of military service to rise with the sun. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then it all came rushing back. The party, Everett's warning, Nadine with the syringe. John was still asleep on the couch, his face peaceful in the gray morning light filtering through the cabin windows. Logan watched his son's chest rise and fall, grateful for each breath, each moment of safety. Coffee's ready. Logan turned to find Zeke standing in the kitchen doorway, 2 steaming mugs in his hands. His old friend looked like he'd been awake for hours. Thanks. Logan accepted the coffee and took a sip. It was strong enough to wake the dead. Sleep any. Some. Logan rubbed his eyes. Nightmares, mostly. About Afghanistan. About last night. Zeke nodded and settled into a chair across from him. The cabin was small but comfortable, furnished with handmade furniture and decorated with military memorabilia. Photos on the wall showed Zeke in various deployments, always with that same steady expression. You ready to talk about what comes next? Zeke asked. Logan glanced at John, still sleeping. Not yet. Fair enough. But Logan, you can't ignore this forever. They try to kill you once. They'll try again. I know. And next time, you might not get a warning. Logan set down his coffee mug and walked to the window. Outside, the woods stretched in every direction, a green maze that could hide a man for years if he knew how to survive. But John deserved better than a life on the run. Tell me about this Everett guy. Zeke said. You trust him? I don't know. He could have been part of it, setting me up somehow. But you don't think so? No. He seemed genuinely disgusted by the whole thing. Good. That means you might have an ally. Logan's phone, sitting on the kitchen table, buzzed with another call from Nadine. He'd received 17 calls and 43 text messages since leaving the house. The messages had progressed from pleading to angry to threatening. You can't keep my son from me, that I'm filing a kidnapping report. Aaron says you can't hide forever. The last one made Logan's blood run cold. Aaron was already inserting himself into the narrative, already positioning himself as John's protector. Dad! John's sleepy voice came from the couch. Where are we? Logan walked over and sat beside his son. Remember our camping adventure? This is my friend Zeke's house. John sat up and looked around the cabin with wide eyes. It's like a fort. Pretty much. Logan smoothed his son's hair. You hungry? Starving. Zeke cooked breakfast while Logan helped John wash up in the small bathroom. They ate pancakes and bacon at the kitchen table, John chattering excitedly about the adventure. He didn't ask about his mother, didn't seem worried about being away from home. Kids lived in the moment in ways adults envied. After breakfast, Zeke showed John around the property while Logan sat on the front porch and tried to think. The morning air was cool and clean, filled with bird songs and the whisper of wind through pine needles. It was peaceful here, too peaceful for what was coming. Then we don't call the cops, Zeke said when he returned. We call the truth. Logan looked up. What do you mean? I mean, we gather evidence. Real evidence. The kind that puts your wife and her boyfriend in prison for a long time. They'll be ready for that. Nadine's smart. She's probably already covering her tracks. Maybe. But you know what? Smart people make mistakes when they're panicked. And right about now, your wife is panicking. Logan's phone rang again. This time it wasn't Nadine. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize. Logan Reese. Yes. This is Detective Ray Morrison with Savannah PD. Your wife filed a missing persons report on you and your son. She's very worried. Logan's grip tightened on the phone. John and I are fine. I'm sure you are. But Mrs. Reese says you've been acting erratically lately. She's concerned about your mental state. There it was. The setup Everett had warned him about. Nadine was already building the narrative of Logan as an unstable husband and father. Detective, with all due respect, my wife is lying. I'm sure this is all just a misunderstanding. Why don't you come in so we can sort this out? I don't think that's a good idea right now. A pause. Mr. Reese, are you threatening to harm yourself or your son? What? No, because Mrs. Reese mentioned some concerning statements you made recently. About feeling hopeless, trapped. Logan closed his eyes. Nadine was good. Very good. Detective, I need time to think. John and I are safe. That's all I can tell you right now. Mr. Reese. Logan hung up and turned off the phone. Trouble? Zeke asked. She's already 2 steps ahead. Told the cops I'm suicidal. Classic abuser tactic. Make the victim look crazy while playing the concerned spouse. So what do? Zeke's smile was grim. We played dirty. That afternoon, while John napped, Logan and Zeke drove back toward Savannah. Not to the city itself, but to the outskirts where they could watch from a distance. Reconnaissance. Zeke explained as they parked on a hill overlooking Logan's neighborhood. Know your enemy before you engage. Through binoculars, Logan watched his own house. Nadine's car was in the driveway, along with a silver BMW he didn't recognize. Aaron's car. Moved fast, Zeke observed. Yeah. Want to get closer? Logan nodded. They drove through the subdivision, staying 2 streets away from his house. From this angle, they could see into the backyard. Aaron was using Logan's grill, cooking steaks like he owned the place. Son of a bitch, Logan muttered. Easy. We're just watching. They parked at the end of the street and waited. An hour later, a police car pulled up to the house. Detective Morrison, probably following up on the missing persons report. Logan watched the detective talk to Nadine on the front porch. She was animated, gesturing toward the street, playing the worried wife perfectly. Aaron joined them, putting a protective arm around Nadine's shoulders. The picture of a supportive friend comforting a woman in distress. Look at him, Logan said, acting like the grieving widower before I'm even dead. We'll see about that. After the police left, Logan and Zeke returned to the cabin. John was awake, playing with some toy soldiers Zeke had found in a closet. Dad, when are we going home? John asked. Logan knelt beside his son. How do you explain to a 5-year-old that home isn't safe anymore? We're going to stay here for a while, buddy. Is that okay? Can we build a fort in the woods? Absolutely. Cool. That evening, after John was asleep, Logan called Everett Chase. I need to ask you something, Logan said when Everett answered. Shoot. How much do you know about their plan? The details. More than I want to. Rochelle's been treating it like gossip, telling me everything. I need to know it all. Everett was quiet for a moment. Meet me tomorrow. There's a diner on Highway 17, about 20 miles south of the city. Mel's Place. You know it. I'll find it. Noon. Come alone. The next day, Logan drove to the diner while Zeke stayed with John. Mel's place was the kind of roadside establishment that had seen better decades. Cracked vinyl booths, a jukebox that probably hadn't worked since the Clinton administration, coffee that could strip paint. Everett was waiting in a corner booth, nursing a cup of coffee and looking uncomfortable. "You look like hell," he said when Logan sat down. "Feel worse. Talk to me." Everett glanced around the nearly empty diner, then leaned forward. "They've been planning this for 6 months. Your wife and Aaron met at some real estate seminar. Started as an affair, but then they got ambitious." "Ambitious how?" "Your life insurance. $250,000, right?" Logan nodded. "Nadine took out a new policy 2 months ago. Doubled the payout. I never signed. She forged your signature. Aaron's got connections at the insurance company. They made sure it went through without the usual medical exam." Logan's hands clenched into fists. "What else?" "They've been building a case against you. Telling people you've been depressed, drinking too much, making threats. Nadine even planted some stuff at your house." "What kind of stuff?" "A journal. Written in your handwriting, talking about how hopeless you feel, how you can't take it anymore." "I don't keep a journal. They know that. But the cops won't." Logan stared out the diner window at the parking lot. "A life insurance scam. That's what his marriage had been reduced to." "There's more," Everett said. "Of course there is. Aaron's got a history. In Charleston, before he moved to Savannah, he was accused of harassing 2 women at his job. Young interns. The company settled quietly, but he was fired. You have proof. My ex-wife works in HR up there. She remembers the case. Aaron's a predator, Logan. Your wife's just his latest victim, except she doesn't know it yet. Or maybe she does know and doesn't care." Everett shrugged. "Either way, that little boy of yours is in danger. You know that, right?" Logan's blood went cold. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. Aaron gets your wife, your money, and custody of your son. Perfect little family. Except what happens when John gets older and starts asking questions about his real father." The implication hung in the air like poison gas. "I need evidence," Logan said. "Real evidence. Not just your word against theirs." "What kind of evidence?" "Financial records. The insurance paperwork. Communication between them. Anything that proves premeditation." Everett nodded slowly. "I might be able to help with that. Rochelle's got loose lips and even looser security. She shows everyone everything on her phone. Can you get access?" "Maybe. But what are you planning to do with it?" Logan met his eyes. "Whatever it takes to protect my son." 2 days later, Everett called with news. "I got some stuff. Can you meet me tonight?" They arranged to meet at a different location this time, a boat launch on the Savannah River. Logan arrived first and waited in his truck, watching the dark water flow past. At 9 o'clock, Everett's headlights appeared. "I feel like a damn spy," Everett said as he climbed into Logan's truck. "What did you find?" Everett pulled out a manila folder. "Text messages between your wife and Aaron. Screenshots from Rochelle's phone. She thinks the whole thing is romantic." Logan opened the folder and immediately felt sick. The messages were explicit, detailed, and damning. "Nadine, once he's dead, we'll get the money and the kids ours. Aaron can't wait to be a real family. John will forget about Logan eventually. Nadine, the insurance guy, says it'll take 30 days to process. We need to be patient. Aaron, I'm tired of waiting. Let's just do it tonight. Nadine, not yet. We need to establish the depression angle first. Make sure the cops buy the suicide story." Logan's hands shook as he read. These people were discussing his murder like they were planning a vacation. "There's more," Everett said. "Bank records. Your wife's been moving money around, setting up accounts Aaron can access. How much? 60,000 so far. Cleaned out your joint savings." Logan closed the folder. "She's been planning this for months. Gets worse. Look at this." Everett handed him another paper. It was a custody document, already filled out, naming Aaron Lorne as John's legal guardian in the event of Logan's death. "How is this legal?" "It's not. But in the chaos after your suicide, it might be enough to get temporary custody. By the time anyone figures out it's fraudulent, they'd be long gone." Logan stared at the document. His wife had planned every detail of his destruction. Where are they going to go? Aaron's got family in Florida. The plan was to move down there, start fresh. New names, new lives. With my son. With your son. Logan handed the papers back to Everett. I need you to do something for me. Name it. I need you to confront Rochelle. Get her to admit everything on tape. That's dangerous. If she tells Nadine, she will tell Nadine. That's the point. Everett studied Logan's face. What are you planning? Something that'll make them show their true colors. The next evening, while John played video games at Zeke's cabin, Logan drove to his abandoned house. All the lights were off, no cars in the driveway. Nadine and Aaron were probably out somewhere, playing the grieving widow and concerned friend. Logan used his key to enter through the back door. The house felt foreign now, like a stage set for someone else's life. Aaron's clothes were in the master bedroom closet. His toothbrush was in the bathroom. The bastard had moved in completely. Logan searched systematically, looking for evidence of their plan. In Nadine's jewelry box, hidden behind a false back, he found a flash drive. When he plugged it into his laptop, he discovered hundreds of files, insurance documents, forged signatures, bank transfers, even photos of the syringe. They documented everything. Logan copied the files to his own drive, then returned the original to its hiding place. Let them think their secrets were safe. In the kitchen, he found something that made his blood boil. A half-burned journal in the sink, pages blackened but still readable. His handwriting, describing his depression, his suicidal thoughts, his plan to end all, except he'd never written a word of it. Logan photographed every page, then left the journal where he'd found it. Evidence of forgery. He prepared to leave. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know you're in the house. Come outside. We need to talk. Allegan's hand moved to the knife on his belt. Aaron was here, waiting. He turned off all the lights and moved to the front window. Aaron's BMW was parked across the street, engine running. Logan could see his silhouette in the driver's seat. Logan's phone buzzed again. Don't make me come in there. Logan smiled grimly. Let him come. Logan had survived firefights in Afghanistan. He could handle one cowardly real estate agent. But as he watched, Aaron started the car and drove away. Probably afraid to face Logan alone. Good. Fear was a tool Logan knew how to use. The next morning, Everett called with a recording. Got it, he said. Rochelle confessed everything. Your wife's plan, the murder, the money, all of it. How did she take it when you told her you were recording? She didn't take it well. Started crying, begging me not to tell anyone. But it's too late now. Send me the file. Already did. Logan, be careful. Rochelle called Nadine right after I left. They know someone's onto them. Good. Let them sweat. But as Logan hung up, he realized the game had changed. Before, he'd been the hunted. Now he was the hunter. And predators were always most dangerous when they were cornered. Logan spent the morning at Zeke's cabin, organizing the evidence. Photos of the forged journal, copies of the insurance documents, bank records showing the stolen money, text messages plotting his murder, and Everett's recording of Rochelle's confession. Together, it painted a clear picture of conspiracy and attempted murder. But evidence was only useful if you had someone who would listen. You thinking about calling the cops? Zeke asked, looking over Logan's shoulder at the laptop screen. Eventually. But first I want to understand who we're really dealing with. Meaning, Aaron Lorne. Everett said he had problems in Charleston. I want to know exactly what kind of problems. Zeke nodded. Road trip? No. Too risky to take John that far. But maybe I don't need to go there myself. Logan pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts. Marla Kincaid. He'd done some restoration work for her last year, refinishing antique furniture for her downtown office. She was a sharp woman with connections throughout the business community. Marla? It's Logan Reese. Logan, how are you? How's that beautiful family of yours? The question hit him like a punch to the gut. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I need a favor. Of course. What can I do? I need information on someone. Aaron Lorne. He used to work in Charleston, in real estate. Aaron Lorne. That name sounds familiar. Why do you ask? Logan chose his words carefully. He's been sniffing around my wife. I just want to know what kind of man I'm dealing with. Give me a few hours. I'll make some calls. 3 hours later, Marla called back. Logan, you need to stay away from this man. What did you find? He was fired from Coastal Properties 2 years ago. Sexual harassment charges from 2 young women. The company settled out of court but the women's stories were disturbing. How disturbing? Stalking, threats, unwanted advances. One of them said he showed up at her apartment at night, claiming he just wanted to talk. She had to get a restraining order. Logan's grip tightened on the phone. Anything else? Rumors about his finances. Gambling debts, bad investments. The word is he's been desperate for money for months. Desperate enough to do something stupid. Desperate enough to do something dangerous. Logan, if this man is involved with your wife, he won't be for much longer. That afternoon, Logan left John with Zeke and drove to Charleston. The trip took 3 hours, giving him time to think about what he was going to say to Aaron's former employer. Coastal Properties occupied a glass office building in Charleston's historic district. Logan parked across the street and watched the building for an hour, learning the patterns. Who came and went, where the security cameras were positioned, how to approach without being noticed at T5 o'clock. He watched the employees leave. One woman, mid-40s with short gray hair, matched the description Marla had given him of Karen Walsh, the HR director who'd handled Aaron's case. Logan followed her to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and approached her table. Ms. Walsh, I'm Logan Reese. I'm here about Aaron Lorne. The woman's face went pale. I can't discuss former employees. I'm not asking for anything confidential. Just confirmation of what I already know. I can't help you. Logan sat down across from her. My 5-year-old son is in danger because of this man. Please. Karen Walsh studied his face for a long moment. You said you already know. What do you know? I know he was fired for harassing young women. I know he's desperate for money. And I know he's planning to murder me so he can steal my family. The words hung in the air between them. Karen's coffee cup trembled in her hands. Murder. Logan pulled out his phone and showed her some of the text messages. Karen read them, her face growing paler with each line. Oh my God, Ms. Walsh, I need you to tell me everything. Not for legal reasons, not for lawsuits. Just to protect my son. Karen looked around the coffee shop, then leaned forward. Aaron Lorne is a sociopath. I've been in HR for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like him. Tell me, the harassment was just the beginning. We found evidence that he'd been stealing from clients, forging documents, manipulating property sales. He was stealing commission from other agents, falsifying inspection reports. Why wasn't he prosecuted? The company wanted it kept quiet. Bad for business. They paid off the victims and made the whole thing disappear. What about the gambling debts? He owed money to some very dangerous people. The kind who break legs when they don't get paid. Logan absorbed this information. Aaron wasn't just a murderer and a thief. He was desperate and being pressured by loan sharks. That made him even more dangerous. Is there anything else I should know? Karen hesitated. There was a rumor, never confirmed, about his previous job in Atlanta. What kind of rumor? A woman died. Aaron's former girlfriend. They said it was suicide, but some people thought she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Logan thanked Karen and drove back to Savannah with a clearer picture of his enemy. Aaron Lorne wasn't just a con man looking for easy money. He was a predator with a history of violence, backed into a corner by debt and desperation, which meant Logan's family was in more danger than he'd realized. The next morning, Logan was ready to go on the offensive. He drafted a letter, printed it on plain white paper, and mailed it from a post office in downtown Savannah. Aaron and Nadine, everything you planned, I now own. I know your games. I have your files, your messages, your confessions. I know about Charleston, about Atlanta, about the insurance fraud, and the murder plot that I know about the journal you forged, the money you stole, the custody papers you filed illegally. I know about the syringe, the staged suicide, the new life you planned in Florida, but most importantly, I know about my son. And I will never let you have him. Watch your back. Logan didn't sign it, didn't leave fingerprints, didn't provide any way to trace it back to him. But he knew they'd know who sent it. 2 days later, the letter hit its target. Logan was watching the house through binoculars when Aaron's BMW came screeching into the driveway. Aaron jumped out of the car, waving a piece of paper in the air. Even from a distance, Logan could see the panic on his face. Through the front window, Logan watched Aaron show the letter to Nadine. She read it twice, her face going white. Then they were both shouting, gesturing wildly, clearly arguing about what to do next. Aaron pulled out his phone and made a call. Probably to Rochelle, or maybe to his contacts in Florida. Logan couldn't hear the conversation, but he could see Aaron pacing back and forth like a caged animal. Good. Panic made people sloppy. That afternoon, Logan met with Tucker Gellin, a lawyer who specialized in family custody cases. Logan had chosen him carefully, not the biggest name in town, but smart and discreet. Mr. Reese, I have to ask, are you planning to file charges against your wife? Logan spread the evidence across Tucker's desk. I'm planning to protect my son. Tucker examined the documents, his expression growing more serious with each page. This is extensive. Conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, forgery. Your wife could go to prison for decades. Good. And you're certain this evidence is authentic? Completely certain. Tucker leaned back in his chair. What exactly do you want me to do? Prepare a custody filing. Emergency custody, based on imminent danger to the child. I want legal guardianship transferred to me immediately. Based on this evidence, that shouldn't be difficult. But Mr. Reese, you should know, filing for emergency custody will alert your wife to your intentions. She might try to disappear with John. She can try. There's something else. If your wife files criminal charges against you first, claiming kidnapping or threatening behavior, it could complicate things. Logan nodded. I'm ready for that. But as he left Tucker's office, Logan realized that legal remedies would take time. Courts moved slowly, investigations took months, and Aaron and Nadine might not wait around for the justice system to catch up. They might try to run, or they might try to eliminate the evidence. Either way, Logan needed to be ready. That evening, Logan was playing with John in Zeke's cabin when his phone rang. Everett Chase. Logan, we got a problem. What kind of problem? Rochelle's missing. Her neighbor saw her leave this morning with 2 suitcases. Haven't seen her since. Logan's blood went cold. They got to her. Looks like it. Either bought her off or scared her off. What about the recording? Still have it. But without Rochelle to verify it, it's just my word against theirs. Logan hung up and stared out the cabin window at the dark woods. Aaron and Nadine were cleaning house, eliminating witnesses, preparing for their next move, which meant they were getting ready to run or getting ready to fight. The next morning brought clarity in the form of a phone call from Detective Morrison. Mr. Reese, I need you to come in for questioning. About what? Your wife filed charges yesterday. Criminal threatening, harassment, kidnapping. She says you've been sending her death threats. There it was. The letter had spooked them enough to force their hand. Detective, my wife is lying. Maybe so, but I still need to talk to you. Can you come in voluntarily? Or do I need to issue a warrant? Logan looked at John, who was eating cereal at the kitchen table, blissfully unaware that his world was falling apart. I'll be there this afternoon. Good. And Mr. Reese? Bring a lawyer. Logan called Tucker Gellin, who agreed to meet him at the police station. But first, Logan had one more piece of business to take care of. He drove to the electronics store, where Nadine had bought the flash drive hidden in her jewelry box. The same flash drive that contained all their evidence of the murder plot. I need a favor, Logan told the young clerk. I need to replace the contents of this drive with something else, but I need it to look exactly the same. The clerk, barely out of high school, looked suspicious. That sounds illegal, dude. Logan pulled out $200 cash. It's to protect my son from his mother. Money talked. 20 minutes later, Logan walked out with the flash drive, its contents now replaced with vacation photos and family videos, innocent files that would prove nothing. He drove back to his house and used his key to enter one last time. Nadine's car wasn't in the driveway. She was probably at the police station, filing her false reports. Logan replaced the flash drive in its hiding place and left everything else exactly as he'd found it. When the police eventually searched the house, they'd find the evidence Nadine thought would convict him. But they'd also find something else. Logan's phone, which he'd left recording in his pocket during his visit, had captured the sound of him entering and leaving the house. Timestamp proof that he'd been there. And when they examined the flash drive and found innocent family photos instead of murder plans, it would raise questions about who had really planted what at 3 p.m. Logan walked into the Savannah Police Department with Tucker Gellin at his side. Detective Morrison was waiting in an interrogation room, along with another detective Logan didn't recognize. Mr. Reese, thank you for coming in. I'm Detective Morrison, This is Detective Sarah Chun. We need to ask you about some serious allegations. My client is here voluntarily, Tucker said. He's eager to clear up any misunderstandings. Mr. Reese, your wife says you've been sending threatening letters, harassing her and her friend Aaron Lorne. She's provided us with evidence. Morrison slid a plastic evidence bag across the table. Inside was the letter Logan had sent. Have you seen this before? Logan examined the letter through the plastic. Yes. Did you write it? Yes. Tucker shot him a sharp look, but Logan continued. I wrote it after discovering that my wife and Aaron Lorne were planning to murder me. Detective Chun leaned forward. That's a serious accusation, Mr. Reese. It's a serious crime, Detective. Logan nodded to Tucker, who opened his briefcase and spread documents across the table. Bank records, insurance papers, forged documents, text messages, everything Logan had collected over the past week. This is evidence of conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and kidnapping, Tucker said. My client wrote that letter in self-defense after learning of the plot against his life. The detectives examined the documents in silence. Morrison's expression grew more serious with each page. These text messages, how did you obtain them? A concerned citizen provided them, Logan said. Someone who was horrified by what they'd learned. We'll need to verify all of this. Of course. We've also prepared a formal complaint against Mrs. Reese and Mr. Lorne for conspiracy to commit murder. Detective Chun looked up from the text messages. Mr. Reese, where are you currently living? A safe location. With my son. Your wife says you kidnapped the child. I protected him from people who were planning to murder his father. Morrison and Chun exchanged glances. Logan could see the wheels turning. His evidence was substantial, detailed, and convincing. But Nadine had gotten to them, first with her version of events. We're going to need to investigate all of this, Morrison said finally. In the meantime, Mr. Reese, I have to advise you not to contact your wife or Mr. Lorne directly. Understood. And we'll need to speak with your son to make sure he's safe. Logan's jaw tightened. My son is perfectly safe. I'm sure he is, but we need to verify that. Tucker intervened. Detective, my client is willing to cooperate fully, but any interview with the child will need to be conducted with both parents present in a neutral location. We can arrange that. As they left the police station, Tucker was quiet until they reached the parking lot. That went better than expected, he said finally. You think so? They're taking your evidence seriously. But Logan, you should know this is far from over. Even if they arrest your wife, she's going to fight back. Hard. Let her fight. And Aaron Lorne is still out there. If he feels cornered, I know. But as Logan drove back to Zeke's cabin, he felt something he hadn't experienced in weeks. Hope. The truth was coming out. The evidence was in the hands of law enforcement. Soon, very soon, Nadine and Aaron would face justice. What Logan didn't know was that Aaron had already decided justice was a luxury he couldn't afford. That night, while Logan tucked John in a bed at the cabin, Aaron Lorne was sitting in his BMW outside the police station, watching detectives carry boxes of evidence out of Nadine's house. His phone rang. Aaron, they have everything. Nadine's voice was panicked. Bank records, insurance papers, all of it. How much do they have? I don't know. They won't tell me. But Logan, he knew about Charleston. He knew about Atlanta. Aaron's blood went cold. If the police started digging into his past, they'd find things that went far beyond insurance fraud. We need to run, Nadine said. Tonight, before they arrest us. No, running makes us look guilty. We are guilty. Aaron closed his eyes. 2 years of planning, months of preparation, and it was all falling apart because Logan Reese was smarter than they'd given him credit for. There's another way, Aaron said. What way? We eliminate the witness. Logan? The police are watching him now. Not Logan. His son. The line went quiet. Aaron, no. I won't hurt John. You won't have to. I will. He's my son. He's evidence, Nadine. As long as that kid is alive, he can testify against us. But if something happens to him, well, grief makes people do crazy things. Logan might become so distraught that he takes his own life. You're insane. I'm practical. Think about it, Nadine. Logan's dead, the kid's dead, and we disappear with the insurance money. Clean slate. Nadine was crying now. I can't. I won't. Then you'll go to prison. For the rest of your life. Aaron hung up and started his car. Nadine was weak, compromised by maternal instinct. But Aaron had no such weakness. He'd killed before in Atlanta and made it look like suicide. He could do it again. He just needed to find where Logan was hiding. Aaron drove through the night, checking hotels, motels, campgrounds, anywhere Logan might have taken his son. At dawn, exhausted and frustrated, he parked outside a gas station and called his contact in Florida. I need help, Aaron said when the man answered. What kind of help? The kind that makes problems disappear. How big a problem? A man and his 5-year-old son. A pause. That's going to cost extra. How much? $50,000. Up front. Aaron looked at his bank balance on his phone. $23,000. Everything he had left in the world. I'll get the money. You better. Because after this morning, you're burned. The police are asking questions about you. My people don't like attention. The line went dead. Aaron sat in his car, watching the sunrise paint the Georgia sky blood red. He was out of time, out of money, and out of options, which meant he'd have to handle this himself. But first, he needed to find Logan Reese and the cabin. Logan was making breakfast when his phone rang. Detective Morrison. Mr. Reese, we need to talk. Can you come in this morning? What's this about? We've arrested Mrs. Reese and Mr. Lorne. Both are in custody. Logan felt a surge of relief, so intense it made him dizzy. On what charges? Conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, forgery, theft. The list is long. Thank you, detective. Don't thank me yet. We need your son to come in for an interview, just to confirm his safety and get his statement about what he witnessed. Logan looked at John, who was playing with his toy dinosaurs on the kitchen table. When? This afternoon. 2 o'clock. We'll be there. Logan hung up and called Zeke, who was outside chopping firewood. It's over, Logan said when his friend answered. They're both in custody. Hot damn. How you feeling? Like I can breathe again. But as Logan prepared to drive into town with John, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. It had been too easy. Nadine and Aaron were smart, careful planners. They wouldn't have been caught off guard unless someone had made a mistake. Logan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. They're not both in custody. Watch your back. E. Everett. Warning him that something was wrong. Logan called Detective Morrison back. Detective, you said you arrested both Nadine and Aaron. That's right. Where did you find Aaron? At Mrs. Reese's house. What? I need to know exactly when he was arrested. About an hour ago. Mr. Reese, is there a problem? Logan's blood went cold. An hour ago, which meant Aaron had been free all night, with plenty of time to plan something desperate. Detective, I think we have a problem. Logan was explaining his concerns when he heard the sound of a car engine coming up the dirt road toward Zeke's cabin. Through the window, he could see a silver BMW approaching fast. Zeke, Logan shouted, get John and get down. But it was too late. Aaron's car burst from the tree line, engine roaring, heading straight for the cabin. Logan had 1 second to react. He grabbed John and Dub behind the kitchen counter just as Aaron's BMW crashed through the front wall of the cabin. With splintered glass shattered, and the world exploded into chaos. Through the ringing in his ears, Logan heard John crying. His son was alive, thank God. But Aaron was climbing out of the wrecked car, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead, a gun in his hand. Logan! Aaron's voice was raw, desperate. It's over. Come out and face me. Logan pressed John against the floor behind the counter. Stay down, buddy. Don't move no matter what happens. Dad, I'm scared. I know, but you're going to be okay. Logan had his knife, but Aaron had a gun. Not good odds. But then he heard something that changed everything. The sound of a shotgun being pumped. Zeke's voice, calm and deadly. Son, you picked the wrong cabin to crash. Get back. Aaron screamed. This is between me and Logan. No, Zeke said. This is between you and me now. The first gunshot was Aaron's pistol. The second was Zeke's shotgun. Then silence. Logan waited 10 seconds before looking up. Aaron was on the ground, not moving. Zeke stood in the doorway, smoking gun in his hands. You okay, brother? Logan stood up slowly. Yeah, John, I'm okay, Dad. Logan pulled his son into his arms and held him tight. It was over. Really over this time point 20 minutes later, the cabin was swarming with police cars, ambulances, and crime scene investigators. Aaron Lorne was dead, killed while attempting to murder a federal witness. Nadine was in custody, charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Detective Morrison found Logan sitting on Zeke's porch, still holding John. "Mr. Reese, I owe you an apology. We thought we had both suspects in custody. How did Aaron get away? He was never arrested. When we went to pick him up, we found Mrs. Reese at the house alone. She told us Aaron had left town, gone back to Florida. We issued a bolo, but he was out there planning one last attempt. Looks that way. Are you and your son okay?" Logan looked down at John, who had fallen asleep in his arms. "We're fine. Better than fine. We'll need statements from both of you, but that can wait until tomorrow." "Detective, what happens to my wife now?" Morrison's expression was grim. "She's looking at 25 to life. Maybe more when we factor in the conspiracy charges." Logan nodded. He felt no satisfaction in Nadine's fate, only relief that it was over. That evening, as crime scene techs finished their work and the last police car drove away, Logan sat on Zeke's damaged porch and watched the sun set through the Georgia pines. "What now?" Zeke asked. "Now we go home. Start over. You think John will be okay?" Logan looked at his son, who was playing with his toy dinosaurs like nothing had happened. Kids were resilient. They adapted, healed, moved forward. "He'll be fine. We both will." But Logan knew the scars would remain. The knowledge that the person who was supposed to love him most had tried to destroy him. The realization that evil could wear a familiar face, sleep in your bed, share your dreams. Still, he'd survived. They'd both survived. And sometimes, survival was victory enough. Logan Reese stood in the doorway of his new workshop, watching the spring rain dance on the roof of his expanded business. Reese Restoration had grown from a one-man operation to a thriving company with 4 employees and more work than they could handle. The insurance money from Nadine's fraud had been recovered and returned. The legal fees had been substantial, but Logan had come out ahead financially. More importantly, he'd gained something money couldn't buy: peace of mind. John was thriving. He'd started first grade in the fall and made new friends quickly. The nightmares had faded, replaced by the normal dreams of a 6-year-old boy. He rarely asked about his mother anymore. Logan's phone buzzed with a notification. Another letter from Nadine in prison. She'd been sending them regularly for months: apologies, explanations, pleas for forgiveness. Logan had never opened a single one. He deleted the notification and walked back into his workshop. On the bench sat his current project, a rocking chair for Mrs. Patterson, whose grandson was expecting his first child. 3 generations of love represented in red oak and careful craftsmanship. "Dad!" John's voice came from the house. "Dinner's ready." Logan smiled and set down his tools. In a few hours, he'd tuck his son into bed, read him a story, and kiss him goodnight. Simple pleasures that had almost been stolen from them. Outside, the rain continued to fall, washing the world clean. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new projects, new possibilities. But tonight, Logan Reese was exactly where he belonged. Home with his son, safe in the knowledge that some storms, no matter how violent, could be weathered. The past was buried. The future stretched ahead like an uncharted road. And for the first time in a very long time, Logan was ready to see where it led.